Tonight's big stories. The lower house starts tackling resolutions calling on government to cooperate with the International Criminal Court's investigation on the war on drugs during the Duterte administration. We'll be speaking with Manila 6th District Representative Benny Abante, who filed one of these resolutions.
The Migrant Workers Department confirms that there are 17 Filipinos among the 25 crew members held hostage by Yemen's Houthi rebels in the Red Sea.
And another transport group is staging a 3-day strike amid the looming deadline for PUVs to consolidate into cooperatives or corporations. How does government plan to address the concerns of PUV drivers? LTFRB spokesperson Celine Pialago will join us later in the studio.
Welcome to the show. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Shawnee L.
And I'm Marisol Halili.
Kicking off the show with more developments in the lower house, this time on the matter of the ICC investigation into the Duterte admin's war on drugs. House Committee on Human Rights Chairperson Benny Abante and one rider party list Congressman Ramon Gutierrez filed resolution number 1477, calling on departments and government agencies to extend their full cooperation to the ICC probe. The resolution is still being deliberated at the Joint Committee level and has yet to be approved, pending insights from concerned agencies like the Justice Department. This comes on the heels of political rhetoric from former President Rodrigo Duterte against the lower house, but Congressman Abante says the resolution isn't personal.
Sa darating na araw, dadami ang espekulasyon o haka-haka tungkol sa mga resolusyon na ito. We should not be distracted by this and stay focused on doing our jobs as lawmakers. Ulitin ko po, this resolution is about principles, not personalities. Hindi po tayo dito para idiin ang partikular na tao o grupo. Ang idiin po natin dito ang rule of law.
So again, no, this is not the first resolution urging urging the government to let the ICC prosecutors in and investigate the first 3 years of the drug war. But it is the first time na galing siya sa majority.
Kasi yung makabayan nag-file sila noon noong October.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, may isa pang resolution from Congressman Edsel Lagman naman, also calling for support for the ICC probe. Sabi ni Congressman Lagman, the apparent shifting political alliances in the lower house calls for this. No? So, again, yung co-authorship ni Congressman Benny Abante marks the first time that a House Majority Bloc member has called on the lower chamber to support this investigation. Pero narinig naman natin si Congressman Abante, it's not personal, sabi niya. He just wants na manaig nga yung rule of law.
Yeah, but the thing is, kapag sinabi natin na ICC and drug war, laging naiisip natin Duterte administration.
At
right?
saka sinabi ni, naalala nyo dumating dito siya, DOJ ASEC Miko Clavano, ang sabi niya, they are opening themselves to listening to the House of Representatives. Pero sinasabi naman, nung isang, si Senator Amy Marcos ba? Basta may nagsabi sa atin na bakit nga ba yung House of Representatives ang may say dito when it's the
dapat Justice
Department.
Yun nga ang sabi nga ni Congressman Abante, ay hihantayin nila yung feedback from the Justice Department. Ang sabi naman ni Justice Spokesperson Miko Clavano ay hahantayin natin yung feedback from the House of Representatives.
Actually, yun nga yung point, di ba? Kasi it's also good to take note na ito ay House resolution pa lang. And it will all still depend on the decision of the executive branch whether or not the Philippines cooperates in the ICC probe. Pero recall during the first quarter or basta yung mga kakaupo pa lang sa Malacanang ni President Marcos, nagkaroon ng meeting yung mga officials from the previous administration and the current officials in Malacanang, and they talked about the ICC. And it's also good to take note na pareho sila ng tone. Now, we don't need ICC because our judicial system works here in the Philippines. So reacting to the resolution, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla said it needs further study on their part, considering the Philippines is no longer a member of the Rome Statute of the ICC.
And joining us tonight to talk about this is one of the authors of House Resolution 1477, House Committee on Human Rights Chairperson of Manila 6th District Representative Benny Abante. Good evening, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Magandang gabi po. Magandang gabi po sa inyo.
Okay, talk us through the timing of this resolution. You acknowledge the possible speculation arising from its filing. Bakit po ngayon? Kasi nung yun nga, nabanggit nga po namin, parang this is the first time that members from the majority filed a resolution like this. Nag-file po yung Makabayan noong October. Ito po, bakit po ngayon po kayo nag-file?
Well, alam mo, hindi naman sa timing to, no? The thing is, I'm not aware na noong isang taon nag-file ang Makabayan Block 2 dito. Of course, later on, pagkatapos namin mag-file, si Congressman Edsel Lagman naman nag-file. No? I think sa akin, personally speaking, na kinakailangan na rin siguro na payagan na natin itong ICC na magkontak ng investigasyon sa ating bansa para makita po nila talaga ang real score, no, ng mga nangyayari. Meron pa talagang violation ng human rights, no? Meron pa talagang hindi pa credible ang ating criminal justice system. At para hindi na po yung kung ano-ano pa maakusasyon na narinig nila, kung ano pang tatanungin nila, sasabihin po nila, I think it's better for them to come over here and see for themselves what is happening.
So you're confident, Congressman Benny, na kung dumating naman dito yung ICC prosecutors, they will not find anything wrong in terms of kung paano gumagalaw, no, yung justice system natin dito?
Well, I'm not actually saying na I'm fully confident. They might see something wrong. Lahat naman po ng bansa sa buong mundo talaga naman merong human rights violations. Pero bilang chairman na Committee on Human Rights, I think it is my own personal mandate na sige, payagan na natin ang ICC para makita po nila talaga ang real score dito sa Pilipinas. No? They will not only accept any accusation from anyone here in the Philippines, lalo na yung mga oposisyon, lalo na yung mga ayaw sa ating former president. Although ako, personally, I support the former president sa lahat ng kanyang, halos lahat ng kanyang mga ginawa nung siya presidente ng Pilipinas. But the thing is this, pagkamisan kasi itong ICC na ito, kung sino-sino lang pinapaniwalaan So it's better for them to come and see for themselves, no? Sapagkat naniniwala ako that this resolution actually is upholding the rule of law. Our commitment to the rule of law is a fundamental pillar of our democracy. So sa akin, by cooperating with the ICC, even if after our withdrawal from the Rome Statute, we demonstrate that no one is above the law. And we are accountable for our actions. So this resolution is about principles, not personalities. No? And the rule of law, to me, is sacrosanct principle. Even our Supreme Court, nagsabi na, no? Ang sabi po nila, the ICC retains jurisdiction over any and all acts committed by government actors until March 17, 2019. No? Until such time na tayo nga ay nag-withdraw from statute.
Okay, so sir, I understand we still have to wait for the decision of the executive department, but then I wonder what will be the consequence kung in an event na makita ng ICC na yes, there was indeed violations of the human rights in the Philippines, 2019 pataas. So what will be the consequence?
Well, ang question, was there a massive crime, eyeless crimes against humanity? Was there a massive human rights violations? No. The thing is, sa akin, they're only investigation lang kailangan maaaring magawa dito. No. The prosecution actually will come from us. Of course, itong resolution na ito does not have any strength of the law whatsoever. Kinakailangan pa itong ilagay sa plenary, kinakailangan pa itong pagbotohan na lahat ng mga congressman, at kinakailangan din na ang ating Pangulo ay talagang sang-ayunan ang resolution na ito. That's the only time that magkakaroon ng parang legal action ng ating pamahalaan.
Speaking of the president, PBBM himself has said that the Philippines will not cooperate. Hindi po ba, kumbaga may sagot na po siya dito? At ano po na pupulsuhan ninyo sa mga kasama po ninyo? Is there a change on openness of mind to the ICC? Kasi dati po sinasabi, why should we let the ICC in? Because we have a judicial system that works. And now, nagbabago na rin po ba yun? Do you think you'll get enough support?
Palagay ko, nagiging open na rin ang kaisipan ng ilang mga congressman natin. Naniniwala ako that if they will know the real score on this thing, kung talaga makikita po nila yung ano ba talaga ang nais nating makita ng international community. Because we cannot actually get out of the fact that we belong to the international community of nations. Oo. At nakalagay din naman sa ating konstitusyon, no? If I may be allowed to actually read what the Constitution tells us, no? Na ito ay sinabi rin ng ating konstitusyon tungkol sa tinatawag nating pagkampi sa nais ng International Criminal Court, no? Tingnan ko maigi, no? Sinasabi po dito ng ating Constitution, for example, itong sabi, Declaration of Principles and State Policies under the Constitution. Itong sabi, the Philippines adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land, as part of the law of the land, and adheres to the policy of peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations. Ito po yung deklarasyon lamang yan. Pero kinakailangan, bigyan natin ng pagkakataon na mag-act tayo according to the declaration of the Constitution.
Bale, sa Kong Benny, you are actually just doing your job, no, sa inyong pananaw, and based on your explanations na at pag-clarifications ninyo, ay ginagawa nyo lang yung trabaho nyo bilang kayo nga yung chairman ng Justice Committee sa Kamara. However, yun nga, no, just to piece together, also to add to what Gretchen just asked, does this reflect also the will of the majority or just the Justice Committee? Para lang po malinaw.
Ako po ay chairman ng Committee on Human Rights. Nagkaroon kami ng joint hearing ng Committee on Justice. At palagay ko, mas matindi ang tinatawag nating human rights concern dito sa ICC. Ano? Meron ba talagang human rights violation dito? Oo. Naniniwala din po ako naman sa kasabihan na even those who are investigating this, even our state actors deserve human rights. Ibig sabihin, naniniwala naman tayo that everyone is considered innocent until proven guilty. So ibig sabihin, we are not only protecting the people who are victims, but we're also protecting those people who are being accused of doing the human rights violations. You see, yun ang nakikita ko dito. Kaya ginawa namin ang resolution na ito. Now, kung ang pananaw ko ito ba kakampihan ng majority, hindi ko pa alam yan sapagkat kanina sinuspend namin ng committee hearing sapagkat nais nila na mag-imbita kami ng mga resource speakers like from the Department of Justice, from the Commission on Human Rights, ng Philippine National Police. O makita po namin yung kanilang pananaw tungkol dito. And afterwards, pagbubotohan namin sa committee yan. Now, if most of the members of the committee agree to that resolution at botohan namin i-approve yan, doon lamang makakarating yan sa plenary. Pag sa plenary, pinabotohan po yan ng maraming congressman at magkaroon kami ng tinatawag na majority vote dito, ay doon lamang siguro itingnan ng Pangulo ito. Pag-aaralan po niya, kinakailangan na ba natin buksan ang ating pasa sa ICC? That's the only time that something would be happening.
Okay, so medyo mahaba-haba pa yung proseso. Pero what will happen,
Yes,
sir,
oo.
if the executive branch does not heed your resolution? Ano yung iba niyong pwedeng gawin para suportahan yung ICC probe?
Well, alam mo, itong resolution na ito is just, to me, yung bang gusto ko lang sabihin na, look, this is not actually personality. No? Kinakailangan din malaman po ng ibang mga bansa na credible itong ating criminal justice system dito. Nagtatrabaho po ito. Na sabi po nila, ang sabi po ng ICC na masyado namang delayed ang pag-imbestiga. Ano po? Ako, ang tanong ko naman, ano bang bansa ang hindi delayed ang justice system? Lahat yata ng bansa may delay yan. Oo. Pero kinakailangan, huwag naman nilang puntuhin lamang na Pilipinas lang ang merong ganitong mga istorya. Kaya nga sa akin, I really want them to come over here to find out for themselves. Di ba? Talaga nangyayari ba ito? Then they could make a decision among themselves kung talagang nangyayari itong mga ito. Mayroon bang massive violation of human rights? Meron ba talagang crimes against humanity? Oo. Yun ang nais ko makita talaga.
Pero Congressman, ang sabi po ni former Senator Laila De Lima, wala daw tayong local mechanism of accountability dito sa Pilipinas na nag-iimbestiga dun nga po sa EJK. Marami pong namatay dun sa war on drugs, pero wala pa po tayo sa ngayon na nakakasuhan na mga malalaking tao to hold accountable for those deaths. Ano po masasabi niyo po dun?
Well, yun ang kanyang pananaw tungkol dito. Well, she was a senator at that time, and she should have filed a bill doing that, no? Ang sa akin lang, kung talagang naniniwala siya na wala tayong ganung sistema sa ating local government unit, she could have filed a bill about that, and that would have been discussed in Congress.
Alright, Kong, actually, gaya ng sabi niyo nga, no, I think Senator Amy Marcos, who was here on our show last Friday, she believes daw na we have a working judiciary, speaking of Senator De Lima. Ang ebidensya daw nun is yung recent decision nga to grant bail to former Senator De Lima. Pakinggan muna natin yung soundbite niya, tapos we'll get your thoughts on that right after.
Yeah.
Ang laking kahihiyan talaga sa Pilipinas kapag pumasok yung ICC na yan. Tayong papayag-payag ng ganyan. Sana maawa naman sila sa Pilipinas. Ang dain-dain na natin problema. Maawa naman kayo sa administrasyon. Maawa kayo sa mga Pilipino nagigikawas. Yung ating mga korte, tibay-tibay. Pinalaya na si Senator De Lima. Hindi ba katibayan yun na maayos yung korte at talagang maandar ang judikatura?
Okay, sangayon po ba kayo sa thoughts ni Senator Amy about our justice system here sa Pilipinas?
Masyado naman kinakawawa ang Pilipinas. You know, sa akin naman ang nais lang naman natin makita ng ICC talaga nangyayari. Ang Pilipinas po ay napakagandang bansa niya. Meron mga ilan talaga na hindi nagiging maganda ang nangyayari sa ating bansa. Lahat naman ng bansa ganyan meron palaging itinatawag natin inequality o inequity, for example. Pero alam mo sa akin, it is time for us to open our books. Ibig sabihin, we belong to the community of nations na kinalalaman po ng maraming bansa na nangyayari dito. Kahit po sumigaw tayo dito na tama ang ginagawa namin, wala kaming problema rito. Pero yung ICC, pinapakinggan po yan ng maraming bansa So sa akin lang, pumunta kayo dito. Tignan niyo talaga na nangyayari. Palagay ko, mapapahiya kayo. Hindi kami nakakaawa. Kayo ang nakakaawa.
Oh, that's loud and clear. We'll see in the weeks to come if the other congressmen echo the same voice. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. House Committee on Human Rights, Chairman Congressman Benny Abante.
Okay, maiba naman tayo. It is day 2 of the Joint Maritime and Air Patrols of the United States and Philippine troops sa West Philippine Sea. Now, in the middle of the exercises, a Chinese warship was spotted seemingly tailing the American and Philippine vessels. Our very own Brian Castillo was able to witness today's activities from above aboard the U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon aircraft, and he joins us now for the details. Brian, how was the feeling being on board that aircraft? At kamusta nga ang joint patrols ngayong araw? Kwentuhan mo naman kami.
Security and protocols were very tight for select members of the media who were allowed to board the U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon surveillance plane. Gadgets and phones were not allowed inside the aircraft. But the inside was truly amazing because of its modern equipment for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations. Poseidon aircraft also has the ability to detect submarines.
So we've got a combination of advanced electronics that allows us to do our job effectively and efficiently, and to share that information with our allies and partners so that they have a good understanding of what's going on in and around their waters and in and around their country.
The aircraft also has an advanced camera that can record high-definition video from a very long distance. This is exactly the aircraft being used to monitor resupply missions to the Ayungin Shoal. From Clark Air Base, we flew to the West Philippine Sea to watch from above the activities during the joint maritime patrols between the Philippine and American troops. The air assets of the Philippine Air Force and the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command joined forces to monitor the part of the West Philippine Sea in northern Luzon that has been gripped by tensions between China and the Philippines. Photos from yesterday showed the formation of our own F-A-50 fighter aircraft with U.S. warplanes. Now, as for the maritime exercises we monitored today, we witnessed Philippine and American Navy ships conducting their exercises at over 100 nautical miles or almost 200 kilometers west of Lubang Island in Quezon Province and north of mainland Palawan. As you earlier mentioned, we spotted the Chinese Navy warship that appeared to be tailing the Philippine and U.S. Navy vessels from around 5 miles away. We also spotted the Chinese surveillance aircraft, but the U.S. Navy says this is nothing new to them.
Nothing unusual. Both parties on both sides conducted themselves safe and professionally and normally, which is what we are always out here trying to do. The routineness of our operations out here and our patrols are the objective is to normalize activity and normalize interactions with each other.
The U.S. Embassy in the Philippines say the joint patrols is proof of stronger relationship between America and the Philippines. The joint patrols will be conducted until tomorrow, November 23. Sean?
All right, maraming salamat for sharing your experiences with us today, Brian Castillo.
Up next, 17 Filipino seafarers are held hostage by a rebel group from Yemen that seized a cargo ship which they claim has links to an Israeli businessman. The details when we return. Keep it here on One News. You're watching the big story here on One News. At least 17 Filipino seafarers are being held hostage by a rebel group from Yemen that seized a cargo ship in the Red Sea that is supposedly linked to Israel. The footage you're seeing on your screens was that of the hostage-taking released by Yemen's Houthi rebel group. It shows armed men dropping from a helicopter and seizing the cargo ship in the southern Red Sea. Notice that the flags of Yemen and Palestine are imprinted on the helicopter. The Houthi group, which is backed by Iran and is also a known ally of Palestine, claims that the ship called Galaxy Leader was linked to Israel. But Israel denied this, saying there wasn't even an Israeli on board and noting that it was British-owned and Japanese-operated.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says this hostage-taking is, quote, another Iranian act of terrorism that represents an escalation in Iran's belligerence against the citizens of the free world. The Japanese government has likewise confirmed that one Japanese company operates the Galaxy Leader vessel. This company, the Nippon Yusen, says that the ship has 25 crew members on board who are from the Philippines, the Ukraine, Bulgaria, Romania, and Mexico. They add that the vessel, a car carrier, has been heading towards India from Europe with no cargo.
The Department of Migrant Workers, meanwhile, confirmed that of the 25 crew members held hostage, 17 are Filipinos. The agency expressed deep concern over the incident and notes that they have communicated with and assured all families of the seafarers of their fullest support and assistance. The DMW adds that they are now working with the Foreign Affairs Department as well as officials of the vessel's registered shipping and manning agency to monitor the safety and well-being of the 17 Filipino seafarers and to bring them home safely. Right now, we're still unsure about the well-being of the crew, but the Houthi group did say na maayos yung trato nila sa mga crew based on Islamic principle.
Okay, kamustahin naman natin, no? Nang mabilisan itong Israel-Hamas war. Ayon sa mga reports, Israel and Hamas have supposedly agreed to a temporary ceasefire in the hostilities. Now, this would enable the release of about 50 people who have been held captive in Gaza since October 7 in exchange for 150 Palestinians that are in Israeli jails. This announcement comes just hours after Israel's cabinet approved the deal. Ngayon, sabi naman ng Gaza government media that government media office that at least 13,000 Palestinians have been killed since the start of the conflict on October 7, including at least 5,500 children. Okay, back here in the Philippines, 7 more witnesses want to recant their statements against former Senator Laila De Lima in her last remaining drug case. They say that they were only coerced to testify against the former senator, who is currently out on bail. The group expressed their intention to recant in a letter sent to Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court Branch 206 Judge Hener Guito. Those who signed the letter are Herman Agojo, Jaime Pacho, Tomas Donina, Wu Tuan Yen, Engelbert Durano, Jerry Pepino, and Hans Anton Tan. According to the witnesses, they are aware that by recanting, they are risking their lives and the safety and security of our families, or of their families. But they did say that they firmly believe in the saying that the truth will set you free. The 7 convicts have also asked for De Lima's forgiveness. They also requested to be transferred back to the New Bilibid prison from the Sablayan prison to ensure their safety. The group, though, did not disclose who coerced them to testify against De Lima. However, in a forum earlier today, former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre said that no one was forced to testify during his term.
Binabash na ako kabi-kabila nun. Kabagal-bagal naman yung Secretary Aguirre. Lahat ng tao gusto nang pailan si Secretary De Lima. Hanggang ngayon, wala pa. So, ang nangyari po niyan, noong...
Nauna pa yung House hearing?
Yung pala, nakausap na niya. So, because of that, the House leadership was then confident na talagang may basihan labang kay Secretary De Lima.
Well, up next, 2 transport groups are on strike today over the PUV modernization program. We'll get the side of the LTFRB and how negotiations are going with the agency spokesperson Celine Pialago. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
Another transport group is staging a transport strike, and this is on top of Piston's Tigil Pasada, which is on its third day today. And that's Manibela. Manibela President Marvel Buena said their members around the country are expected to join the strike from November 22 to 24, or Wednesday to Friday. According to Valbuena, the group has around 150,000 to 200,000 members, composed of drivers and operators of passenger jeepneys, multicabs, and UV Express vans. Manibela and Piston are protesting the PUV modernization program.
Hindi dito matatapos ang transport strike, kundi ito ay magtutuloy-tuloy ng pagkilos ng mga driver at operator laban dito sa pananatili ng Omnibus Franchising Guidelines. Mismong gobyerno natin ang bumababoy sa atin. Wala na kaming tiwala sa DOTR at LTFRB. Kinakailangan nang makinig ang ating Pangulo dito.
Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista, meanwhile, said that government is ready to accommodate the requests of drivers and operators. This includes the extension of franchise validity, which will now be up to 5 years instead of just 1. But the Transportation Secretary said there's one demand that authorities cannot grant.
One very important issue that sabi namin non-negotiable ay yung industry consolidation, no? Because we really need the players to consolidate into cooperative or corporation, no? Hindi namin talaga pwedeng pagbigyan is yung ayaw nilang mag-consolidate, no? Dahil sa tingin namin this is one of an important component of the public utility modernization program.
Let's get the latest about discussions they've had with transportation groups Piston and Manibela. Joining us tonight in the studio is LTFRB spokesperson Celine Pialago. Celine, good evening. Welcome to The Big Story. Thanks for coming live, ha?
Good evening, ma'am. Maraming salamat po sa pag-invite. Thank you so much.
Okay, so sabi nyo nga non-negotiable, no? Non-negotiable yung December 31 deadline. Ini-insist naman nila na ayaw talaga nila mag-modernize, and both Piston and Manibela are insisting that. So, ano to, stalemate na or paano ba?
Well, ma'am, kung maalala po ninyo, when our chairman Guadis personally approached them sa kanilang transport strike, meron pong 4 na major concerns na na-raise, no? Unang-una po doon, yung pag-waive ng penalties. For the knowledge po of the public, lahat po ng mga jeepneys at lahat po ng humahawak ng prangkisa, they have to pay po a 1,000 confirmation fee every year. So during this consolidation, ma'am, you will see all of their documents and you will scrutinize each and every documents that they've submitted. Makikita po natin, some of the drivers and operators, meron na silang violation na 10,000. So ma'am, 1,000 pesos every year.
For 10
So
years.
meaning 10 years na po yung kanilang mga violation. Bakit po nagkaroon ng ganitong violation? Before kasi ma'am, walang interconnectivity ang LTFRB and LTO. Ang proseso po kasi, pag nakuha nila yung confirmation, yun po ang gagamitin para makapagparehistro sa LTO. So ang nangyayari po way back, diretso sila sa LTO. So isa po sa napagkasunduan is to waive those penalties. So okay na po yun, that's doable. Second po yung nabanggit po na franchise. Ma'am, kaya lang naman po 1 year lang ang provisional authority nila is to make sure din also na magiging parte sila ng PUVMP. Pero ang assurance, pag sila po ay nasa ilalim na ng kooperatiba, 5 years na po ang ibibigay na franchise sa kanila. And kapag mas moderno po ang kanilang mga sasakyan, mas bago, 7 years na po yung franchise na ibibigay sa kanila. Ang hindi lang ma'am doable, just to answer po your question, ang request po kasi nila is to scrap the consolidation process. And what they were asking, ma'am, is to totally scrap the program. Which is, ma'am, hindi yun ang direksyon ng gobyerno. We can simplify the process of consolidation, but not to
What do
totally
you mean
scrap.
by simplifying that process?
Well, ma'am, number
Gaano
one,
kasimple,
napakadami po kasing clearances kapag tayo ay mag-a-apply ng consolidation. At ngayon po, sinimplihan lang. On or before December 31, just an affidavit of consolidation. It's a 2-pager affidavit to 3 maximum na po yung 4. Yun lang po, it's an affidavit at least to show your intention that you would be part of the
So,
program.
intention pa lang ang pinag-uusapan natin dito?
Yes, ma'am. Finally po, you've got it. Yes, ma'am.
Magbabayad ba sila to be part of the
No, ma'am.
Hindi kasi pag,
cooperative?
third part, like outside looking in, if you hear consolidate, kasama ka sa kooperatiba, parang, my gosh, iniisip ko pa lang yung mga papeles, parang,
Hindi, tsaka anong catch nito? How much would I have to pay eventually?
For the consolidation, madam, of course, wala, no? Dahil yun naman po ay intention, your affidavit to join PUVMP. And yung worry po nila, makakabiyahe pa ba kami after December 31 deadline? Yes, makakabiyahe pa rin po kayo. Just submit your petition. Okay, ayaw namin kasi mag-submit. Ayaw nga namin yung totally eh. So, makakabiyahe pa rin ba kami? Yes. I will just give you an example, ma'am. In one route, merong 30 authorized units. Ipagpalagay po natin 5 dyan ang ayaw po talagang mag-submit ng petition for consolidation. January 1 na, wala silang petition for consolidation. Makakabiyahe pa ba sila? Yes. Dahil, ma'am, yung authorized number of units doon, 30. Ang nag-consolidate lang, ma'am, 20, 25. Just to fill in po the deficit, of course, makakabiyahe ka pa. But till such time po na makumpleto na ng gobyerno yung routes na yon, 2 options na lang po ang pupuntahan nung mga ayaw talagang mag-consolidate. Number 1, let's wait for another guidelines kung meron man po for the new directive para sa mga ayaw mag-consolidate or be under the social support program. Ma'am, ang tanong, kailan yon? Baka naman anytime soon, wala na kaming trabaho. That's why, ma'am, 60% ang acceptance ng mga transport groups sa consolidation. Ma'am, naintindihan nga po ng 60% eh.
Okay.
So mukhang kulang lang po ng information, education drive. Kaya po hindi kami nagsasawa, ma'am, to attend media invites.
Why is consolidation so important in
Yes,
this
ma'am.
process?
Kasi, ma'am, ang consolidation, ma'am, kung makikita po ninyo sana yung example, I have here, nandun po yung list ng 15 na units. If you may, ma'am, I'll just show it to you lang po para hindi naman po masayang. Dahil nandun po yung mga names, pangalan po ng mga may-ari ng unit, and at the same time po, yung kanilang mga plate number, ayan, ma'am. Name ng member, yung expiration ng kanilang CPC, yung chassis number, yan lang yan, ma'am.
sige, share ko lang. Ang tinitingnan namin, okay, it's just a very simple Excel file. Yun lang naman siya. Oh, isang
Bukod po sa madumi kong kuko. Sorry po. Yan lang po, ma'am. Details lang po nung parte. Yung
Naging
grupo
parte
po
ng kooperatiba.
ng cooperative.
Oo, pero let me clarify lang yung follow-up sa question ni Gretchen. Kasi yung tinatanong mo kanina na may bayad pa. Sabi natin wala. But I think there was a statement coming from one of the transportation groups na yun yung concern nila. Na parang kapag sasali sila, baguhan sila, then magiging part sila ng isang kooperatiba. I think yung naunang kooperatiba, naghihingi sila ng payment. So I think
Siguro po
you'd
ito
like
po
to
isa sa
clarify
yes, ma'am.
that.
Sa ilalim po ito sa Office of Transport Cooperative. Wala po itong bayad, ma'am eh. So yung mga membership nila, wala naman po itong
Wala bang
kailangang
down
bayaran.
yan? Di ba parang may ambag yan para makabili o makapag-loan para dun sa bagong units?
Yan yung pagbili ng
Diba?
unit, but I think we're just talking about yung consolidation process, which has nothing pa to do with units.
wala pa yun,
Parang
wala
sasali
pa yun.
ka pa lang as a driver or operator, sasali ka sa isang group. Ngayon kasi, I think, kahit nga kami medyo nalilito sa lead. So, can you pakita mo sa amin, no, kung bakit ba sobrang importante mag-consolidate. Yun din, I think, yung gusto malaman ni Gretch. Parang siguro for isang driver na simple lang, ano bang makukuha ko dyan? Hindi ba parang siguro inisip niya, baka may membership fee, baka may ganito, ganyan, may kailangan pa niya magdala ng potluck sa mga meeting. You know, these things, di ba?
Well, ma'am, number 1, fleet management. Kailangan po kasing ayusin yung ruta. Ngayon kasi, ma'am, nag-aagawan sa route. No? Naka-boundary system po sila, kung mapapansin po ninyo. Kaya nga po yung ating mga jeepneys, anywhere they stop and wait for passengers, load and unload. Nakabase po ang kanilang kita sa boundary system. Ma'am, ito pong PUVMP, wala ng boundary system. Sila po ay mababayaran na po daily
Sweldo.
Na parang
sweldo.
employees,
Yes.
fixed.
And at the same time po, fixed na po yun. Meron po silang SSS, meron po silang benefits. So, isa po yan sa mga major examples po ng PUVMP. Now, ma'am, maglo-loan. Not necessarily, ma'am, kailangan mo mag-loan. Kasi under po the PUVMP guidelines, as long as roadworthy po ang inyong jeepney, kahit po traditional yon, you are part of the program. PUVMP.
Who determines the roadworthiness?
Land Transportation Office, ma'am. and the Philippine National Standard, syempre, dun po ang
So
batayan.
wala tayong
Wala pa po tayo.
walang phase out na mangyayari.
Wala pong phase out na pagdating ng January 1, lahat ng lumang jeepneys, lahat ng traditional jeepneys, hindi kayo nakapag-co-op, hindi kayo nakapag-loan.
So yun
Alis.
nga yung nakapagtataka, Celine. Now that you're explaining it to me, it makes so much sense. The question is, bakit kaya, yun nga, sabi mo,
Hindi
60%.
naiintindihan.
Oh, what happened to the 40%? Ba't nila hindi naiintindihan? Saan tayo nagkakaroon ng, gap?
Because this is a product of negotiations also with
Yes, ma'am.
these transport groups. Na iba, no? Dati kasi parang phase out na yung direksyon. Tapos nga kaya nga pinoprotesta. Ngayon, medyo naging iba na yung atake natin. Ano? Tama po ba?
Ma'am, noon pa man, wala namang jeepney phase out talaga.
Oh, wala talaga.
Yes,
Wala
ma'am.
talaga.
Now, ma'am, kung gusto mo magtayo ng kooperatiba, wala ka mga jeepneys, ito po mga modernized jeepneys, ito na yung kunin mo. Kasi ba't babalik ka pa sa traditional? Ngayon, kung traditional jeepney lang ang hawak mo, kadalasan po sa Pilipinas, mga madam, ang isang driver, siya na rin ang operator ng isa niyang unit. So, kung yun lang ang jeepney mo, luma, pero roadworthy para po sa kapakanan ng mga pasahero, you're part of the
Ibig sabihin,
program.
pwede kong palitan yung makina ko ng Euro 4.
Yes po, yes po.
Without changing the
Yes po.
The
outer
exterior.
shell.
Yes po. The designs, the looks, doesn't necessarily mean po na itapon nyo yung luma yung jeepney, itapon nyo yung pangkabuhayan nyo, mabaon kayo sa
Well, that's
utang dito.
clear.
Pero sa
Bilhin nyo tong mga
subsidy,
bago.
gano'ng kadaming subsidy mo makukuha nila? I think bottom line at the end of the day, it's really a question of expenses.
Sige ma'am,
Magkano?
yung luma na yung jeep ko, wala talagang pag-asa. Opo.
Wala ng taillight, wala ng brake light.
Yes, ma'am. Ang equity subsidy po na unang ibinibigay po ng gobyerno ay 80,000. Pero last February po, umakyat po ito ng 250. May nabigyan na po ng mga equity subsidy. Now, paano yun? 80,000 lang yung natanggap ko. Ang swerte naman ng mga sumunod na naabutan ng pagtaas. Makukuha ko pa ba yung dagdag? Yes.
Okay, and magkano yung dagdag?
250 na po kasi siya ngayon. So,
Kaya lang mahal ng unit.
Ano yung
Magkano ba yung
2.5
unit?
million?
Yeah.
Na that figure is being thrown around.
That's the cost of the unit, I
oo,
understand.
parang
Intimidating yun eh.
yun ang sinasabi.
May mga
kailangan.
saraw po na jeepneys yung malalaki, nasa 1.1 million lang po yun. Ma'am, depende po sa manufacturer yun.
Pero kasi
So,
Celine, okay, kung
yes, ma'am.
250 yung subsidy, saan ko naman kukunin yung 1 million?
Well, ma'am, that's the importance po of having your co-op dahil sila po ang naka-front for financial management.
Okay, so now that you're explaining it to us, naiintindihan namin. Kaya lang kasi I think yung idea of processing the documents, that's intimidating to ordinary jeepney operators and drivers. Eh. So I understand nakakatulong yung mga ganitong interview, but what else do you do
Yeah, do you
to
help
educate
them?
these people? Kasi kapag ordinary ka, diba, tapos makikita mo yung ganong kadaming process, nakakatakot yun.
Kahit
Sa
simple
totoo
pag-fill up ng forms, yung mga ganyan. Ako nga, honestly, na, alam mo yun, parang, I second guess myself
O baka
sa mga
maisip
forms.
mo na baka matali na ako dito.
Yes.
Dahil sumali na ako sa co-op, I would have to pay this in the future because nga that figure, 2.8 million, is being thrown around. 1.6 to 2.8.
Yes, ma'am. Hindi po necessarily mean na ganun po ang presyo ng mga modernized
So, anong
jeepneys.
pinakamura?
1.1.
Sa inyong tala,
1.1.
pinakamura,
Million
Yung mga
pa rin.
saraw jeepneys pa
talaga.
yun.
Yun na
Ma'am,
yun.
Siyempre
Mahal
sa
ka
sakyan,
rin.
mahal talaga siya.
Yes, ma'am. Pero ma'am, that's why may co-op for financial management. And yun po, ang inaalala po ng mga chuper, ma'am, is hindi na nakapangalan sa kanila yung prangkisa. Nakapangalan na yung prangkisa sa kooperatiba. More on dun po. Alam naman po nila yung process ng financial eh. Kasi yan naman po ay may percentage ng awa sa bayad eh. At napupunta po sa
Celine,
co-op.
alam natin, no,
Very-
itong prangkisa, it's an asset to them. They can pass it
So
on.
it's also a sense of control over
Yeah.
their business.
That's why, ma'am,
How do you assuage their concerns when it comes to that?
Number one, ma'am, yung education for involving yourself in corporation or cooperative. May mga shares yan, ma'am eh. Kaya nga po ang suggestion ng ating Chairman Guadis, ORCR mo with your name on it and the number of co-op. So, identified yung shares mo sa kooperatiba. But still, they are concerned of the franchise itself. And ayaw ho namin ng isusugarcoat ito. And syempre, ma'am, ang instruction sa atin, honest communication, yes po, ang franchise ay nasa kooperatiba.
Okay.
So, kumbaga, from being a business owner, bigla ka magiging
So yun,
empleyado.
that's the rub, right?
Diba?
That's the rub. The thing is
That's-
kasi...
that's the honest
sticking
explanation.
point. Tsaka yun yung sticking point, I guess, for the, yung mga chopper. Gaya ng sabi mo, ayaw nila mawala sa pangalan nila yung prangkisa at yung control.
Okay. Para lang malinaw, no? So wala pong phase out, pero ano po yung kailangan palitan dun sa traditional jeepney for it to be roadworthy?
Number one, ma'am, yung engine. Yun po ang pinaka-importante. No? Under the guidelines po of LTO, it should be Euro 4. Para po maging roadworthy. Then, para naman po para pumasa sa Philippine National Standard, yung mga basic, pwede pong mas mataas lang yung roof. Makikita nyo naman po yung ibang roof ng mga jeepneys, medyo, yung iba po, sira na or, hirap din po ang mga commuters, ma'am. With the PUVMP project, ma'am, kailangan din tingnan yung welfare ng commuters. Marami na din pong nasasakripisyo doon, bukod po sa kapakanan ng mga drivers. That's why po, we're trying to meet them halfway. Kasi para din po ito sa kanila at para din sa mga commuters. Second, ma'am, of course, engine, yung roof, technically, yung door, dapat po sa gilid. Yan po yung mga chuper po, gusto na nilang, akin yung unit ko, ika-calibrate ko on my own, kasi hindi ako gagastos ng ganun kalaki. So be it. That's fine.
That's fine.
You're still part of the PUVM.
Alright, so going back.
Hindi lang po na kakarating yung mensahe sa kanilang, that's fine. To calibrate your jeepneys.
Exactly.
Magkano ang sweldo? Kasi you mentioned a while ago na hindi na boundary ang habol dito. Makakatanggap na sila ng isang buong sweldo.
Monthly.
Depende pa sa ruta.
Magiging parte kasi siya, ma'am, depende kasi dun sa fleet management. Kung ibibigay po sa yung ruta, yung for example, Divisoria QC, no?
Madami sumasakay.
Makikita po natin kung ilan yung authorized number of units, makakompute po yung foot traffic, yung passengers, then magkakaroon po ng financial assistance assessment and
But
analysis.
we're not at that level yet.
Wala pa po tayo sa level na yun.
Alright, so sa ngayon, where are we? So kanina, no, nagsimula tayo sa stalemate, no, nauna yung piston, nakisali si Manibela. Again, it's not the first time for both groups na mag-strike. Bukod sa, usually what we hear is di naman naparela siya, ganito, ganyan. Pero naka-stalemate kasi yung modernization program na sayang naman din, di ba? Where do you see this moving towards? Kasi parang right now, may mga non-negotiables kayo, sila rin may non-negotiable and they want to scrap it all together.
Well, ma'am, bukas pupunta po ang piston president sa opisina po ni Chairman Guadis ng 4 p.m. Una na po nilang pinadala yung kanilang consultant. Saan ito patungo, ma'am? We will still educate them, convince them, and kung kailangan po ng 100 dialogues, lalo na ho siguro sa mga ganitong kalalaking programa, we will do it. Obligasyon po yun ng gobyerno. Actually po, ang ating chairman, maglo-launch siya ng mga one-stop shop niya para po lahat ng concern step by step, ma-assist po, and town hall meetings na live po at open po sa publiko para mas marami po yung witness. Yun na ho yung efforts, pinaka-lastro efforts po ng ating chairman himself. But for the agency po itself, ito po yung panawagan din nila. Ano rin po ang assurance ng government after adjusting everything that you will join PUVMP? Ma'am, ang guidelines, ma'am, ganito kahaba. Bago po ako pumasok ng LTFRB, kalahati na yon. Pinapabawasan pa po nila. Nag-agree naman po ang mga board of directors ng LTFRB. That's why dinadraft na po nila yon kung paano pa mas mapapasimple.
Very quickly, aabot ba tayo ng December 31? Because I understand that's a deadline.
Yes, ma'am. Wala pong abiso ang DOTR, which is our head agency, na mag-extend or ma-move. But then again po, petition for consolidation lang. Makakabiyahe po kayo. Hindi kayo mag-submit, makakabiyahe pa rin po kayo. Siyempre, may mga butas po yung mga routes. So, makakabiyahe pa rin po kayo. Till such time, we will continue convincing them, educating them. Yun lang naman, ma'am.
Letter of intent lang.
Parang ganun, mas legalize lang, ma'am, yung affidavit. Of
Naka-notaryo.
consolidation.
Kasi kailangan ng notary public. Celine, maraming salamat no for coming here and explaining to us, even us, nahirapan.
Marami tayo naintindihan.
Correct. Maraming salamat, Celine Pialago, LTFRB spokesperson.
Punta naman tayo sa sports saglit. Naku! Good news ito. The Final
For
Four
you.
now is now complete after the Ateneo Blue Eagles dominated the Adamson Soaring Falcons 70-49 earlier this afternoon. It was all Ateneo from the get-go as Adamson failed to find their rhythm in the match. The Blue Eagles led by as many as 25 points, the biggest winning margin in a playoff in the UAAP Men's Basketball Final Four era. Jared Brown led the way for Ateneo with 20 points on a 4 of 7 clip from three-point land. Making the semifinals for the 9th straight season, the Blue Eagles are set to battle the top seed UP Fighting Maroons in the Final Four on Saturday. Battle Katipunan.
Ayan na, excited manood ka ba?
Oo, hindi. Nasa Cagayan de Oro.
Ayun na.
Sa TV manonood tayo.
Okay, yan. Before we go, our big picture tonight are the first images of this is not so great. Usually fun itong part na to, pero ito hindi. First images of 41 men trapped in a collapsed tunnel in India. Rescuers have been trying to get the construction workers out of this tunnel since it caved in last November 12. Here they are, getting a hold of a video camera, and we can see them able to stand up within the confined space. Authorities said they have oxygen and access to food and water, although rescue efforts are now being hampered by debris from the mountainous terrain. Rescuers are targeting to get them out in the next couple of days. Marami tayong kailangang pagdasalan tonight.
Including our Pinoy seafarers.
Yes.
Who have been hostaged. We do wish them and pray for them safe passage and a resolution to the situation.
On that note, that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you and good night.